I think we've all seen the news. I think we've all seen what's transpired the last few days. And I feel like it's my obligation to talk about it. So the following episode involves a very serious manner, a very serious topic. So viewer and listener discretion is advised.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play-by-play announcer, Devils writer for Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. Like I said in the cold open, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to discuss. And today's episode does involve a sensitive topic. We're going to address the elephant in the room. There's no wacky intro or any sort of buildup. We're going to get right into the discussion and talk about it. So Michael McLeod and Cal Foote are two of five players to recently, quote unquote, take a leave of absence from their respective teams indefinitely. The other three are Carter Hart of the Philadelphia Flyers, Dylan Dubé of the Calgary Flames, and former NHL player Alex Formenton, who was playing in the National League, a pro league in Switzerland at the time. Now, what do all those players have in common? They were all a part of the World Junior Team Canada squad from 2018, which has been investigated the last few years due to potential sexual misconduct. So, like I said moments ago, this episode involves a sensitive topic, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm entering year 4 of hosting this show. I'm closing in at 800 episodes, but this is uncharted territory for me because I don't want to say too much, but at the same time, I don't want to say too little. So I've never been put into this situation to have this sort of discussion with a wide range audience. So I talked with some experts before I hit record, including a longtime former MLB writer. And I said, how do you handle this sort of circumstance? Here's my platform. Here's what I do. Here's the circumstance surrounding the team and these respective players. How do I approach this? Because once again, I want to treat this as carefully and meticulously as possible, considering the background information and what's at stake. And this writer, he calmly told me, just say the facts and you will be fine. So that's what I'm going to do with today's episode. I'm going to focus primarily on the facts and what could potentially happen within the next few weeks. So this is a developing story that's been talked about the past few years quite heavily. So how am I going to split up today's episode? Well, I'm going to break it down quite simply. So past, present, future, segment 1, 2, and 3. And the future segment, I will share some of my opinions on the matter. Like I said, I don't want to say too much, but I don't want to say too little, and it will revolve around the facts. So what's been going on? Well, Rick Westhead of TSN, he recently put this out on the X app. He said 5 members of the 2018 World Junior Hockey Team have been told to surrender to London, Ontario police to face charges of sexual assault, the Globe and Mail reports. Citing unnamed sources, the Globe reports the players who have not been charged yet have been given a set period of time to present themselves at London police headquarters. So a lot of people are probably wondering, what led up to this point? What happened? Well, I'm not going to go into great detail as to what transpired in London, Ontario, but I feel like it's my duty to give you guys that background information, but I will leave links to a bunch of articles in the description so that way you guys can read the full details. But I'm just going to give you a basic outline as to what led up to these unfortunate series of events. The 2018 World Junior Ice Hockey Championship took place from December 26, 2017 to January 5th, 2018. And the gold-winning Canadian team then attended the Hockey Canada Foundation Gala and golf event on June 18th, 2018, where shortly after an alleged group assaulted a victim. The victim met the players at a bar in London, Ontario. Then it carried over into the hotel room, after which the victim reported sexual assault by 8 different members. So it might not just be the 5 Team Canada members, but for right now, it's just the 5 players being told to surrender. So what happened after that? Well, the former board of Hockey Canada tried to pay her off to make it, quote unquote, disappear. So they gave her a settlement reportedly in cash form. The police actually closed this case in 2019, but reopened it in 2022 once the incident became public. So Hockey Canada later admitted that they did not handle the situation correctly, obviously. So some consequences that took place is that they lost a good amount of their funding from their respective government. A lot of sponsors dropped out. That's the basic circumstance of the matter. That's what's led up to this point, because I know a lot of people have questions because this took place nearly 6 years ago. So a lot of people might have forgotten what transpired or might have not heard about it because, like I said, this was swept under the rug and it was not handled correctly. And hopefully whatever transpires, I just hope and pray that justice is in fact served. So we're going to transition into the second segment where I'll provide an even bigger foundation surrounding Michael McLeod and how this story led up to this point. But before we continue, I want to tell you guys about the Sleeper app. So regardless of where the Devils are at in the standings, I want to remind you that you can win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. So to win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Devils fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so that way you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right. So like I said, this case was reopened in summer 2022. And this is where I come into the matter because I didn't start hosting this show until summer 2020. So when this case was closed in 2019, obviously not a lot of people knew about it. But when it came back into the light, now I was able to say, okay, here's what's possibly going to transpire. So when this case reopened, a lot of players came out and made statements saying that they had no involvement with this situation whatsoever. Now, obviously, a lot of players can just come out and say, hey, I didn't do anything. But one player that did not come out with a statement in general was Michael McLeod. Now, that led to a lot of speculation. I tried to steer clear of it on the show because I wanted to wait until the facts came out. So obviously, summer 2022, it came back into the light, but business was as usual for Michael McLeod and some of those players that I just listed in the first segment. So Michael McLeod played the entirety of the 2022-2023 season. But once again, during the offseason, the investigation was still ongoing. We were getting bits and bits of information, but not too much to write home about. So I know during the course of the summer, a lot of you messaged me saying, hey, do you have any updates regarding Michael McLeod and the Team Canada situation? And the 3 words I could provide you guys was, I don't know, because I don't want to speculate. I don't want to give any false information. Once again, I just want to report on the facts. And I was just waiting until everything came into fruition. So the Devils made a signing over the offseason that involved Chris Tierney. And a lot of people, once again, were speculating, saying, does this involve Michael McLeod and his Team Canada scandal? And once again, I said, I don't know. And I tried asking a few people at development camp about the matter. Same answer. They didn't know. And I'm not going to list their name or their association. But obviously, I guess yesterday when this episode goes live, is it safe to say that it was still somewhat surprising that this was actually happening? Like this was actually like coming into fruition, because I knew that this was going to lead up into something. We knew that this time was coming. We just didn't know when. We just didn't know when the information was going to come out. We didn't know when things were going to actually transpire, when action was going to be taking place. But lo and behold, you got a couple of players saying that they're taking leave of absences. Then people start to put two and two together. So I believe the first couple of players to take leaves of absence were Hart and Dubé, and then Formenton followed as well. So once again, people were saying like, okay, that's 3 of 5 players that potentially have to surrender to London police. And then a lot of people were asking, what's going to happen to Michael McLeod? Well, the Devils had a practice on Wednesday, and it was reported that Cal Foote and Michael McLeod, 2 players on that 2018 Team Canada roster, were not accounted for at practice. And then people were just waiting for the official statement from the Devils to basically repeat what the Flyers said, what the Flames said, and what that team in Switzerland also said. So here's the official statement from the Devils. They said, Michael McLeod and Cal Foote have each requested and been granted indefinite leave of absence from the team. The club will have no further comment at this time. Obviously, generic statement, not much detail. I don't think it was the answer that a lot of people were looking for, but it's what we got for the time being. Now, Ryan Novozinski posted on the X app. He said, Lindy Ruff, when asked if Devils, Michael McLeod, and Cal Foote's absences were related to the Globe and Mail report this morning, same 3 words that I've been saying the past couple minutes during this segment, I don't know. Now, a lot of people are wondering, like, why are the Devils being vague about this? Why aren't they going into more detail? Well, here's the thing. No official names have been released, and the police can't really say anything until those players from that team officially surrender. So at the present moment, no charges have been placed, but it seems inevitable at this point. So I don't think it's a coincidence that you got players like Hart, Dubé, Formenton, McLeod, and Foote all taking leave of absences from their respective organizations. And now, okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that are no longer with their teams. That's not a coincidence, in my opinion. But obviously, nothing is official. Nothing is set in stone. But for the time being, those players are away from their team indefinitely, and we'll see what transpires the next few weeks. So that's what's been going on in the present time. And that's what I got for you for the time being. Obviously, I'll get new information as the story develops even more. And I know this topic is very sensitive for a lot of people, and it's hard for me to talk about as well. And at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see what transpires. And that's going to lead into my next segment, which is we're going to talk about what the future holds for this discussion. Now, before we continue, let me tell you guys about Indeed. So if you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data and matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. So leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. So, and listeners of the show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visible at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support Locked On Devils by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Okay, let's talk about the future. So, like I said, nobody for legality purposes can really talk much on the matter, but Rick Westhead once again put out on the X app, he said, the London Police Service says it will hold a press conference on February 5th, so that will take place after the All-Star Game festivities, to provide an update on the 2018 World Junior Sexual Assault allegations. The press conference will be live streamed on Facebook, the LPS says. So once that press conference takes place on February 5th, we will have more information on the matter. So I want to talk a little bit about my thoughts. So I talked about the facts, and my opinion is still going to revolve around the facts. So a lot of people have questions, and rightfully so. People are wondering, why did it take so long? Well, I think if I had to make an educated guess, the reason why it took so long is because it was originally covered up, and they tried to make it go away with a settlement, but that did not work. And they realized that they handled that situation completely wrong. So that's why it was reopened in 2022. So the investigation has been ongoing the last few years. And like I said, we knew something was going to happen. It wasn't a matter if, it was a matter of when. So that's why, in my opinion, it has taken so long. So nothing's official, but there are 3 investigations happening for the time being. So Team Canada, they're doing their own investigation. NHL, they're doing their own investigation. And the police are obviously doing their own investigation. And I'm sure all 3 programs are working hand in hand to make sure that all the facts are straight and justice will hopefully be served. Now, a lot of people on social media, and I can't believe I have to address this, a lot of people are being a little selfish, in my opinion, because people are saying, like, what's going to happen with Michael McLeod's career? What's going to happen to the Devils? This, that, and the third. He's doing this. He's doing that. Look, I get it. It is a big loss for the Devils, and they've been having a very up and down year. But that's not the fact of the matter. That's not what's important for right now. So I really don't care about the Devils in this sort of case. I care more about what's happening in the real world, because this is a very serious situation. I think it's safe to say this is bigger than hockey. So hockey is not even a priority at this point. So look, I know that Michael McLeod has played a big role on the Devils this year, but like I said, that's not important for a time being. What's important is that the situation is handled correctly. Justice is served. The right information comes out. The facts come out. Regardless of what you think, I think that's what's more important for a time being. I get it. Nothing is official, but there's bigger concerns for a time being. So obviously addressing Team Canada, why did they cover it up? Why didn't they take action? Why didn't they try to make sure justice was served for this victim? Because it doesn't just happen in hockey. It happens a lot in the real world, and it doesn't make it right. So my thing is, like, we just need to realize that this is a very serious situation. It's a very sensitive situation, and I don't think hockey should be a priority in this case. So Lindy Ruff has revealed that corresponding moves will be made, but they just got to figure it out for a time being. So there's your answer in that regards. But I'm more concerned about the situation at hand and how it's going to be handled moving forward, because covering up, it's just not right. I think it's safe to say that when the situation like that takes place, it should not be covered up. And I think that's an issue that's been transpiring, once again, not only in hockey, but the real world. And like I said, a lot of people have questions of, like, what's going to happen if this outcome happens, or if that outcome happens. Listen, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police officer. So for any of you who are watching on YouTube and you leave a comment down below saying, like, oh, but this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. Like I said, I'm not law enforcement. I'm not a lawyer. So I don't know. I can only just report the facts. I'm the messenger in this case. I'm going to let the people who are smarter than me in this field handle the situation. And all I could do is just give you guys the information and give you guys the facts for the time being. So that's where I stand with this circumstance. So we've seen cover-up stories in the NHL happen before, like the Kyle Beach situation that was made public a few years ago when he was on the Chicago Blackhawks, the same Blackhawks team that won the Stanley Cup. He was the victim of sexual assault. So I really hope from here on out, it's taken way more seriously. And I just ask that we all come together just to make sure that we bring awareness to the circumstance. And we just try to make sure that this is being taken in a very serious manner, and we build on from there. So that's my message. That's my opinion on the matter. And that's where I'm going to leave things at. And once I get more information, I will report it to you guys. But once again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police officer. I'm just reporting the information that's been provided to me. So as for today's episode, I'm sorry if it was a bit of a downer, but this is a very serious subject, and it's my inferred fiduciary duty. It is my responsibility to address it because it's too important to just throw underneath the rug. So For today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. So continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening once again.